Well, from the outset of the announcement of the government back in October of last year, when they sprung on to New Brunswickers that they had a signed final deal with Hydro-Quebec to sell off our public utility, a coalition of resistors to the sale of the utility gathered, and we were able to coordinate that resistance over the course of the winter into a place where we were able to have the deal pulled. And we went through a variety of activities, including court challenges, rallies, some of the largest rallies that the province had ever seen. And what the coalition did was brought New Brunswickers together from all walks of life, from all political stripes but the Liberals, who felt that there was something really wrong with the democratic process that allowed the Liberals to make this deal behind closed doors. Sadly, the members of the cabinet, they did not get wind of this deal until 4 days before the deal. The backbenchers were told the morning of the announcement. So New Brunswickers felt very uncomfortable about how that deal made by behind closed doors, and presumably made by people who weren't elected representatives, was able to be then utilized to take away a very important and iconic piece of the public good and commonwealth in New Brunswick. So from that point, when the deal was pulled back in late March, the deal that they had said was final 5.5 months earlier, we recognized that people power worked in New Brunswick, and we were able to shut a government off and down from making a dramatic decision that was dramatically opposed to what they said they would do in the prior election campaign. So there was a sense of betrayal. When we got together to debrief after the pulling of the deal, we recognized that people were upset about the democratic process. What we learned through the rallies and the meetings and the town hall meetings throughout the winter is that New Brunswickers have a great sense of what's right and wrong. They have a great sense of what is fair and just. They may not understand what a terawatt hour is. They may not understand, the confusing, complicated technical language of electricity, but they realize that a decision made behind closed doors just didn't cut it. So we morphed the NB Power Not for Sale Coalition into Public Power for the Public Good. And we undertook to, as our primary purpose, to develop a forum for discussion amongst New Brunswickers as to what democracy they wanted to have in the province. And we were able to convince, and we had an election on Monday, and it's quite amazing that the NB Power issue and how New Brunswickers were cut out of the decision-making process. And what people need to understand is that the Liberals ran in the last campaign saying we will not sell NB Power. And then without any consultation, without any notice that they were going to change their position, they made an announcement last October 29th to say that we have a deal with Hydro-Quebec and it is final. And it was a complete 180-degree flip from where they were when they last spoke about NB Power. So, what we wanted to do is we realized that as citizens we can't only criticize our politicians because we're the ones who elect them. That we have to look in the mirror and say, what sort of democracy do we want and how are we going to get it? Well, we got to roll up our sleeves and we got to make friends with people that we ordinarily don't make friends with, because politics without people is what the powers that be want us to live. They want to exclude us from decision making. They don't want to have to be accountable to the people who basically give them their jobs. So we're very pleased that throughout this exercise and even with the outcome, a government that was hanging on to old ways was defeated soundly at the polls on Monday night. Now we have the challenge of how do we keep the new government party accountable to the positions that they provided us back through our exercise. And we have a full synopsis of each of the parties' positions on these 4 principles of good government. And the Conservatives committed to us publicly that they would introduce legislation to create an ethics commissioner that would have the right to order government information to citizens, that what citizens have the right to know. They would, and that is something that is very bold. It's something that doesn't exist, to my knowledge, anywhere else in Canada, where the Ethics Commission has the right to release government information.
What about the privatization and sell-off piece of it all, which is what this began with, what the coalition began with?
Well, we're still very wary, although the Conservatives have said publicly, as did the Liberals in 2006, that they have no intentions of selling NB Power, that they will keep it public. They even went so far as to say that they're going to freeze electricity rates for a period of 3 years.
They made a lot of promises, didn't they?
Yeah, and the coalition didn't preoccupy itself with the substantive promises that were being made on the party platform. We focused in on these good government principles, because if we're not able to trust our politicians, what they say, and have a way to make them accountable, then we give them the license to say whatever they need to say to get elected. And we believe that we have a government now, albeit a progressive conservative government, that understands and has gotten their head around the need of involving the public. They know that we need right to information legislation modifications to make it easier for New Brunswickers to access information that they have the right to know. We know that they are committed to establishing a lobbyist registration in the province, something that we haven't had before. And what was behind the NB Power deal was who was behind the NB Power deal. And there was great suspicion that that deal was cooked up by non-elected citizens, not even of New Brunswick, who were in to make and bag a huge profit and a lot of money for interest even outside of New Brunswick. And that was the basis, I believe, for us, well, I know it was, for us pushing for a lobby registration. Who are these people?
How will you hold your whole coalition together now that the Liberal government has been ousted and people are a little more satisfied, perhaps?
Well, yeah, we're up against that challenge of a historic complacency among communities and citizens who believe that they've won the issue. And we encourage our coalition partners, and the coalition group has grown and continues to grow, and we encourage them to see the issues that we're talking about, they're value-based, as being something that they can believe in as well. And we believe that if an individual, one by one, if individuals believe that they can believe in something, then they will work, they will commit themselves. And we're asking New Brunswickers to simply do what they can, and maybe a little bit more, but do it with integrity. One of the things that has been well known in New Brunswick is that there's been a malaise in New Brunswickers' appreciation for the credibility, the trust, and the confidence we should have in politicians. As I mentioned, we simply
pretty much everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, and we really just can't take the easy road as citizens and say, oh, that's just politics. They're all like that. Well, the fact is they're not all like that, and we have to root out those that are, and we have to expose those that are. And we believe that strikes at the value base, that people want to have accountable representatives, and we have to really fight the very, very strong forces that we've witnessed over the last 30 years, the market forces, to keep people away from politics. One of the very bright spots for us, Ish, was in New Brunswick we've had a dramatically declining voter turnout. And we're very proud to say that in this election on Monday, we've improved the voter turnout by a full 6%. And so, we're getting it. And we've encouraged people to recognize that democracy doesn't